No, Glenn, I, I actually just remembered that Stormbreaker here is actually of Groot's arm. I just remember that. But yes, yesterday I got to see the new Thor: Love and Thunder. I was very, very excited for this movie. I'm some people don't know. Actually, no, you would know. But for me, someone who did go with Marvel comics, but not too much to like such a huge degree. And even within the MCU, for me, Thor is my favorite Marvel character. And so as a someone who kind of go to the MCU movies, I kind of knew going in that they were not going to be like the comic book Thor movies that we were going to get. Like they weren't. The comic books of Thor were very much like the Marvel Game of Thrones. They were high fantasy and violent and insane, but also had this unique Jack Kirby, colorized uniqueness to it, and back all the way back with just a clear like a recap of all the other Thor movies here. First Thor, and for me, the first two Thor movies are kind of among my least favorite MCU movies because they play this character so straightforward and just as a warrior, just as a straight up warrior within the MCU. Like I know the writing, I have certain problems with the writing in the first Thor movies. Fourth, Ragnarok was a much needed facelift for the MCU because they need to make them more interesting and funny. And as much as 2016's Ghostbusters was such a failure, at the very least, it showed Chris Hemsworth can be funny within under the right circumstances. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that movie either, but that's besides the point. Um, but Thor Ragnarok for me right here is, I would personally say, is among my top three MCU movies. I would say Infinity War, Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and Thor Ragnarok among, for me personally, my top three MCU movies. So going into Thor Love and Thunder, I was extremely excited. And then the early reviews came out and they said too many jokes are better. I just had to tune out and see it for myself. But still be open and perceptive for the criticisms. And basically, in the story of this movie, it deals with Thor being being like this this warrior within the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I really enjoyed that. And what him being like, okay, I kind of want to do my own thing, and of course, Jane Foster is back on Earth, diagnosed with cancer, and she's dealing with that. But there's also, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and she's dealing with being the king of New Asgard, and of course, Christian Bale as Gore the Godslayer. And so there's quite a bit of going on what's narratively happening on within this movie. And this movie, for the writing aspect, it does a fairly good job balancing all those quite handily well. I do think Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie is a little silent at times, but what I like about this movie a ton, what I think is really good about this movie is that everyone gets a great moment. There's really not much, okay. I'll just what a lot of people are thinking of this movie. A lot of people thought this movie was just too heavily into jokes. And I do think, oh shit, which may have heavily leaned in too much of the jokey aspect of that, in truth. And I do agree, and while those jokey moments are a bit too much in my mind as well, I don't think it came at the expense. It does and does not come at the point of expense of when it comes to undercutting the drama. Like it still in my mind, and the movie still earns those emotional, hard-pulling moments, but it feels a bit off with delivering them because the comedic moments are just, I won't say they're bad, but there's so many of them that it felt like the director of this movie, Taka Takatavidi or fuck me, shit. Taika Waititi had too much wine and became a little bit more indulgent on the comedic side of Thor. Like, what I love about Ragnarok is a great balance between the core drama, comedy, and the heart of what's going on. And you can tell, like, in Ragnarok and Infinity War and in Endgame, is that all the jokes for Thor, like, around him and for him and everything, is that there's always a good joke there, but it's always going to be at the expense of him. And you can see it in Thor of him taking a joke or giving a joke, and there's a sense of the emotional wall-up that he's like holding back tears, but he's still in on the joke, and that's what made, in my mind, Thor and Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame work so well. In my opinion, Thor was absolutely at his best in Infinity War. Like, in those moments, I feel like he was truly the Thor I remember from the comics. Like, in Endgame, he's a bit Big Lebowski, but he's still, like, really badass. By the way, I love the fat Thor in Endgame because I'm like, yes, that's what a Viking would look like. He looks like the ultimate Viking with the armor, the look, the helmet, the hair, and everything, and the big belly. He looks like the ultimate Viking. And yes, it's like the ultimate symbol of masculinity and power and warrior and everything. And he's still fucking having a joke on Fortnite. And I'm just like, it's such a good balance there. And in this movie, the comedic moments are, there's some really good jokes in here, but they overplay them. And those emotional wall-ups come a tad too late in my mind. And granted, when those emotional wall-ups still happen narratively and structurally in this movie, they do happen. In my mind, they do work, but they feel a little off. It's like a minute or a second too late. But it still hits me because I'm so emotionally and narratively caring for the characters. And by the way, for the first time ever within unlike these first two movies here, Thor and Jane's chemistry and their connection, their characters, I actually gave a damn for. And finally, she was utilized so well in this movie, and I felt like her interactions, not just her, I mean, it was a great redeeming performance for her. And I love all these action beats. I love all these musical moments. I think it's, for me, it's weird because I just reviewed the Black Phone. I'm going to release it later today. Is that, how do I describe it? It feels a bit weird. I wouldn't say weird, but the point I'm trying to say for me is that, oh god damn it, I lost my train of thought. I'm not kidding, I really did. But the point for me in Thor: Love and Thunder is that it's everyone is given a great moment in this movie. Everyone is not wasted. Tessa Thompson has a great moment. The action scenes are great. Oh my good lord, Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher, which I will acknowledge, it was a little weird to have him be like God Butcher and everything. As much as I enjoyed that a lot, there wasn't really much of those moments where you see him actually killing a god aside from the very beginning. And which, yes, you see the carnage of in a certain scene, but you just see misty footage. And that's another complaint I have with this movie. Some of the visual effects and or blending with them within the IMAX screening I had were really weird and wonky. They kind of, my friends I didn't bring it up initially, but my friends brought it up. And retrospectively looking back in the movie, I'm like, yeah, there's some mixing of the effects at times, particularly within the first half, that I found to be really bad. I mean, like, they were like PS2 graphics at times, and I'm like, the sense of focus or whatever it was, I thought was really weird. But there's also some side moments where I'm just like so like caught up narratively within the movie, where Thor and Jane, or I think it was Lady Thor, I forgot, or like what she said, or Dr. Jane. Um, I thought she was just done so damn well, and I felt like for me it was just like a great little redemption arc performance for her, and I thought she was truly terrific in this movie. And it's beautiful, this movie. Like overall, for me, looking back at it when I saw it last night, it's like the more I think about it, I have certain problems with the movie more and more. But my overall my overall experience was mixed and net positive about it. Movie, because at the very least, I felt like it was a great sense of redemption with the villain. Not with the villain. I'm sorry, but with Jane, with Jane's character. And I loved how she was beautifully well done, and the villain was beautifully chilling. Christian Bale had such range and fear and creepiness, and I thought was like, ooh, like out of if it was just between him and Hela from Thor, I would say any of the Thor movies, this one here had easily my favorite villain. There's also some moments which I feel like I personally would have tweaked around some stuff without giving the ending away. And I'm very interested for. I will say the post-credit scenes finally made me care again about where these characters are gonna go in the future. I felt like the writing and the story was a bit jumbled at times, in truth, but overall, I felt like it was just a tight, focused, and very, very well-meaned movie, and I found it really funny. Really, yeah. At the very least, it was like my point with the Black Phone is that it lacked for the creativity and the originalness with an overall competent, well-made movie that really made me care mostly about the characters and the stakes. And yes, the Black Phone is in my mind a better movie. But if you were to ask me which one I would rather watch again, the Black Phone or Thor: Love and Thunder, well, I would actually rather watch Thor: Love and Thunder because I feel like I need to give it another chance. But still, a really solid time. I give Thor: Love and Thunder in my mind 7.5. Till then, cheers.